Yesterday we talked about the King's Indian defense. Today will be a different opening, as I mentioned. So we will talk about different openings every week. And today we'll talk about the Grunfeld defense. It's a very kind of a tricky opening and very popular nowadays. So it's very important to know a good line to play against it. So this is my game from 2010 against my opponent is a grandmaster, Julio Becerra from Miami. And so this game is played at the US Chess League in 2010. In fact, this is my first game actually I ever played, and so it was my debut game. And he kind of surprised me with the choice of the opening, because I didn't expect him to play the Grunfeld. He usually plays the semi-Slav opening and King's Indian, but yeah, he played the Grunfeld, which came as a little surprise. Sometimes when opponent plays something really new, it's kind of surprising you, but at the other hand, you know, he's not very experienced. So don't think immediately that, oh, he has prepared something really strong against you. Just, you know, just play normal. And you know, I've played, you know, maybe 20-30 games in this opening. So I mean, after Bishop G5, so I was pretty comfortable. And he's still kind of new to this. So I play Bishop G5. This is what I recommend to play against the Grunfeld defense. It's kind of similar to the Petrosian and Smyslov line in the King's Indian, but it's more concrete. Here in Grunfeld is a very concrete opening, so you have to really know what to play after each move. So you play Bishop G5 here, and immediately you have a threat. Yes?
By more concrete, do you mean there are not as many playable variations, or?
No, it's more like it's more like forcing ideas. So let's say if he makes a move, you must make this move. So it's like you can't just slowly develop everything. So it's a little bit like for example, he goes knight e4. So if you don't know the right move here, you could be in trouble right away. So if you're white here, what do you do? Take. See, take. But that if you take, it's you know, it's not considered that good. Even though there was a game played between Magnus Carlsen against actually, sorry, Morozevich was white against Magnus Carlsen, and he actually took on e4. But it's in the current theory, this is not considered the best move.
What about knight f3?
Knight f3 is well, you don't want to lose the bishop. He takes your dark square bishop.
f4 bishop.
In a fianchetto positions, you don't want to lose your, when opponent is doing a fianchetto, you don't want to lose your dark square bishop, okay? Well, f4, it's a bit too risky, yeah? It's a bit weakening the position. So he wants to take my bishop. What do you think would be the best move here? He just played knight e4, activating his knight. So question is, what you gonna do now? You don't want to lose the bishop.
Bishop h4.
Absolutely. You retreat on h4. It's very important not to go to f4 or somewhere, just to h4. Okay? Now, you're threatening to take the pawn on d5. So he takes. Pawn takes. Bishop g7. Now you develop. So white will have a strong center, and black is going to try to put pressure on d4 by playing c5.
What if he had played g5?
G5 here?
Yeah.
Very risky. Because after I retreat, even if you can take my bishop, but g5 really weakens the position. So it's not going to be a good idea. Because your center is also weak, so it will really weaken the position. So he takes. You play e3 because you want to keep this structure, okay? Because you want to make sure you have this pawn structure against the bishop. Because this way the dark square bishop is going to be passive. So that's why we play this move. Now I played c5, putting pressure to the center. I take, undoubling my double pawns, knight f3, knight c3, bishop e2, castle, castle. If you remember, I don't know if you, I've done a lecture, I think a couple of weeks ago at the club, where I showed one of my games against international master David Pruss. So it was the same exact opening, and here he took on d4 in that game. And you can also find this video on the website. But in this game, Grandmaster Becerra didn't take on d4. He played bishop f5. And now this move gives me an opportunity to play something different, because he didn't just take on d4, so it's a little bit different position here. So I want you to think about it now and try to see what's the best move here for white.
What's his motivation for moving the bishop into f5?
Developing the bishop and now controlling important squares. So it's, he's just developing.
Knight d2.
Knight d2 is a possible move. It's a move that has been played in this position. But I didn't play that yet. Later on in the game you will see me playing knight d2, but not right now. Right now I just want to play logical. I develop my minor pieces, got the control of the center, castle. So what would be the logical next step? Develop the rooks or queen first. A lot of times you develop the queen first to connect the rooks, okay? To develop. So we can't really develop the rooks now because rook e1 would be, very passive. Rook a1 we cannot move because we lose the pawn. Queen is attacking it. So we need to take the queen. But where? Queen a4, I could play this move. Yeah, it's possible. But something better. If you compare the queens now, whose queen is more active? Black queen is more active, right? Can I somehow offer an exchange of queens that will help me to bring more pawns closer to the center? Aha. Queen b3. Now I am also attacking the pawn on b7. So now he's kind of forced to exchange the queens. So he takes, I take. Now if you look at the position, you can see that I have only one pawn island, which is very important in the endgame. And he has two, and very important, my rook is already on an open file. So I don't have to waste move develop this piece because this piece is already developed. So it's going to be an endgame where I will have the control of the center. Now he took. And here you have to make a decision. You can capture the pawn back with three different ways. E pawn, C pawn, or with a knight. Which capture do you think is the best?
Pawn capture.
Yes, well, we need to be more specific because we have two pawns.
Pawn d4 from e3 to d4.
Very good, that's what I played.
Triple chain.
Aha.
Triple chain.
Triple chain, aha. Yes, why?
I was gonna say not so much to build a triple chain, but so you don't have an isolated d pawn.
Excellent point also. If we take with this pawn, what we're going to have here, weak pawn, right? And that pawn is kind of isolated alone. So we don't want to have a pawn like that. But also when we take with this pawn, which I did, now we have this chain. And if we can push this pawn forward, we can have a strong chain. Yes?
Why not take with the knight?
You could take with the knight, but you could take. It doesn't really necessarily improve our position exchanging the knights off the board. In fact, I think we want to leave the knights because when we play d5, we attack his knight, so we gain a tempo. Because either way I take, now I have this d5 threat he needs to worry about. So we want to keep one pair of the knights. We don't want to. It's very important not to just liquidate in the opening. Sometimes I see players, they just, whenever there is a chance, they try to liquidate. You have to really realize before you exchange things, do you really want to exchange? So it's very important not just think, exchange the pawns, exchange the pieces. You have to see. Sometimes, like in this position, I have space. I have more control of the center, so I want to keep the knights on the board so I can actually chase his knight. Now, rook fc8.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
It's a little bit off, but you said that you should prevent liquidation. Do those same rules apply in Blitz?
Well, the rules are, for any type of game you play. Could be a blitz game or Yeah, it's blitz is a little bit different. Blitz, I played lots of blitz. I mean, all my life I like to play blitz, but it's very important to play, natural moves. And basically, first instinct a lot of times in blitz, that's the move that you have to play it. So most of the time, that's the right move to play. But yeah, that's what I would recommend. And just but not to exchange, all the time, because you have to see when you want to exchange, when you don't. So here we want to keep one pair of the knights because we have this d5 threat. Now he goes here. So I could play d5, but then I got to be a little bit careful opening up this diagonal. Okay? So now you need to find the move for white. What do you think is the best move here? Because I want to make sure I keep those c3, d4 for now. Yes?
Bishop to g3 to cover the e5 square?
Well, we could do that, but our bishop is well placed on h4 because it's putting pressure. See, this putting pressure, it keeps his knight, he can't just move away because we'll take the pawns. So that's why we don't want to move the bishop yet. Okay?
But, I mean, his next move is going to be e5 though, right? I mean, unless
Yeah, he could play e5, but e5 we have d5. So e5 it's not something we have to worry about too much right now. Yes?
Rook f c1.
Rook fc1 is a possible move. I think I played a different move here because I want to try to create a threat.
Maybe I'm going after too small a thing, but I'd like to get his e-pawn if I could get his knight out of there. So I'm looking at bishop to b5 with the plan of taking the knight.
Yeah, but there's a problem. If we go here, take the knight, he takes to the rook, and now our pawn is hanging too, and we lose the bishop. So pair of the bishop is important. See, in a position like this, if you bring the bishop, you want to take, he would just defend. Like he would maybe play king f8, and then you don't want to give up a bishop for a knight in the endgame because he will have the pair of the bishops. So what else we can try to do here?
B4 the pawn.
Very good.
Begin a pawn attack. When in doubt,
Uh-huh.
most major.
So I think I played b4. Let's see.
B4.
Yes. Yeah, I played b4. It's a very nice move. I really liked this move when I played it because now immediately I'm creating a threat, and that threat is b5. Okay, yeah. I'm sure you see the threat, right? We push the pawn. We want to attack and win the pawn. And very important, we gain space. When the pawns move forward, they gain space. You have to make sure you don't weaken the position, but in this case, we gain space. So we have a very nice pawn chain here on the queen side, okay? And open a file. He plays a6. Now this move forced him to weaken his position, but he had to do that to stop the threat. Now, again, see, I didn't just play like kind of standard moves in this game. Every move had a specific idea behind it. And I want you to try to find this idea now again. So you can just take the rook and put it on c1. This would be kind of a standard reply. But try to see if you can use all the options you have in this position. We want to play d5, right? But we have a problem. This pawn is always hanging.
Rook to d1.
Rook fd1.
Yeah, one.
You could play that. Yeah, it's a possible move. But there is a better idea. Yes. c4, be careful. If you play c4, he takes on d4. You have to make sure your center is protected before you play c4. Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely. Rook a3. You take advantage of the fact that you have the open file. Not only you move up, now you can double up the rooks on a file. Now you also protect the c3 pawn. And now threatening to play d5. Also threatening, let's say he just plays e6, rook fa1, threatening b5. And it's a serious threat. It's very difficult for him to do anything now. If he goes rook b8, I go bishop g3 now. See, it looks like, for a moment, it looks like black should be okay. I mean, he's got development, he's got no weaknesses. But his pieces, they don't have many squares to go to. So rook a3 is a very important move here. Without this move, it's going to be very hard to claim, much advantage here. Very important. Here, my opponent, I think he didn't like his position. So he was just really desperate to create some counterplay now. And he played a logical move. But I think this move actually makes his position perhaps even worse now. I mean, but, Grunfeld players, they like to play active. They like to open up the center. So this is kind of a natural idea. Now he plays e5, trying to break the center. And here my response, it's pretty much the only thing I can try to do here. I can't take on e5. I can't let him take on d4 because that will just really make my position very bad. So d5, attacking the knight. Knight doesn't have many squares he can go to. So he cannot go to e7. I will take. Knight on d8 will be very passive. So he played knight b8. Retreating, and now getting ready to play e4. Attacking the knight and on c3. Now, what do you think is the best move here? You have to try to see which squares are weak for the opponent. First you find the weak squares and think about it. Which piece you want to put on the weak square? Which square is the weakest square in this position for black?
d6.
d6 is a weak square. There is another square, I think, a little even weaker than that. b6. Can you imagine we put a knight on b6? That will be great, no? So we got d6, we got b6. Okay? See, you don't want to rush here and think, oh, I have to push c4, c5. No need to rush here. First, try to see a piece that you can try to improve.
Rook a1.
We could go rook a1, but I don't want to commit yet, this rook here. And plus, he wants to push e4. So I want to make a move that will lead me to this idea of putting the knight to b6. Yes?
92?
Absolutely. Knight d2. Not only this move is a very strong positional move. When I realized I have this move, I kind of felt like it's pretty much over here, because he can't really do anything here. It's kind of, it may sound a bit strange, but I think this position is almost lost now for him, because he can't even play knight d7. Why? Do you see the problem with this normal developing move?
Because after knight to c4, you can't stop the fork winning at least a pawn. I mean, well, because he's blocking the d6 square, so
Yeah.
you need to go knight to d6, and no matter what he moves, you're going to win material.
But there's something else you can try to do. Look carefully. What can you do here, huh? We don't really see, like we're too focused perhaps on the queen side. But what do we have on the other side of the board? You always have to make sure you're observing the entire board. Okay, you can't just focus on one side of the board, because you might have a great move, but it's on the other side of the board. Okay?
The bishop is trapped.
G4. Now let's try to find a good square for the bishop. Not going to be easy. That's why I said I felt like my advantage is really big here, you know, even though we just kind of got out of the opening. No good squares to go to except here, and if he goes here now, what do we do to win this bishop?
F up C1.
Perfect. Bishop is trapped. Sometimes you could have really like a positional big advantage. It's not like material advantage, but positionally. So this is one of these positions. So he can go knight d7, so he tries to play bishop h6, activating his bishop. Yes?
Can I just ask back, do you see in your mind that move of knight to d7 when you made the move beforehand, or is it more of a positional?
Oh,
Do you look ahead at pieces moving 2-3 moves ahead like that? I just wonder.
yeah, I always looked a few moves ahead, always. But I mean, when I played knight e2, I realized my knight is going to d6 or b6, and he can go knight d7. You know, longer these pieces stay like this, it means his position is getting worse and worse because I'm improving his position. His pieces are sitting there. So longer I can keep these pieces there, it's just better for me. So no, it was just, you know, I played knight e2 and I see this g4 idea I have. Because in fact, I was thinking about g4 also. It's interesting to play g4 because you move this bishop back to d7. If the bishop goes back to d7, then he occupies the square the knight can go to. So now he's really like cramped. Yeah, he can't do anything. Yeah. So he plays bishop h2, h6. He's trying to create something. Now, I think the next move, you know the next move, right? Knight c4, threatening knight b6, and knight d6. So he can only stop one. He can't stop both threats. So he goes here. He stopped one, but not the second one. Now we come in. See, bishop is doing an excellent job also guarding this square. So now pieces are working excellent here, all my pieces. Now, what should I do here now? G4 it's possible, but I wasn't so sure about how effective it could be here, because if I play G4, he has this bishop f8 move.
Knight to b5. Doesn't that lose a pawn though? For black? And you can take with the knight and then recapture with the pawn.
But no, it would be checked. That bishop's not there. That bishop's not there. The black bishop.
So if you take, I take on d6. I mean, we both lose a pawn. You take. Oh, you mean knight f5?
Yeah, and then recapture.
Oh, this I have to say this looks good also. This looks good too. Oh yeah, I realize he goes bishop c2. Yeah, this was the problem. And this bishop is actually stopping rook c1, and we cannot attack him from the side because then he takes. So it's kind of not so clear. This bishop looks like it's gonna get trapped, but not so clear how. And if I play g5, then he goes back bishop f8, attacking my knight. So, see, when you have a good position, you want to avoid these complications. You just want to play solidly, just improve your position. Now, which move will improve our position here? And will be logical continuation of our plan. Yes? B5, C5, but then he plays A5. You're weakening your C5 square. Actually, you don't want to play B5. You're giving the excellent square for the knight to go to. This pawn is doing a good job guarding this square. You don't want to move that pawn. Knight to B5 just goes back. Rook C8. We have a repetition, but exchanging a knight?
For the white bishop.
We could do that, but we don't need to rush. That bishop is not going anywhere now. Let's wait a little bit. We'll play that a little bit later. Let's improve the position first. Bishop c4, you could do that, but
C4.
of course, c4. continue advancing the pawns, right? c4, c5. You have the strong pawns. Strong chain is strong because you can move forward, right? That's the advantage of having a chain like this, because you can push forward. One is protecting another, another one is protecting another. So it's like, if I can put the pawns b4, d6, c5, it's very strong, protecting and controlling squares. So he goes bishop f8. He realizes he can just let me push again. So he attacked my knight. Now, let him waste a tempo. Now I take. He can't take on b4, because if he takes on b4, I can just go rook b3 winning. So he has to take back. And now, absolutely, c5. And now I'm about to play d6.
What was your problem with B5?
Well, the bishop takes rook.
Oh,
So, but in general, even if the rook is not hanging, you don't want to play b5, because if you play b5, then you're creating dark square weaknesses, and the knight will have a square to go to on c5. So that's why we want to play c5. Now he plays e4, trying to get something at least going here with maybe knight e5 idea or something. Now d6. He has to go back. If he goes rook c6, do you see the winning move here? It's a very nice move. Bishop b5, yes. Attacking the rook. Rook cannot go back, you take the bishop, knight. And he cannot capture back, you take the rook. So he has to go here. Now,
G3 check. Ready?
I could go rook g3 check, but he goes king h8. I believe there are many good continuations here. So perhaps rook g3 is very good too. So it's not like this is a position where you must play one specific. There are many ways. This is a winning position here for white. So there are many ways to play. But I decided to play rook d1. Because if you look at the position, you will realize there is only one piece that I need to develop here, right? And I want to develop this piece to d1 because I want to be able to go rook d5 and take the pawn. So even when you improve your position, you still have to make sure that you have all your pieces developed. Because, you know, it's very important to get the last piece into the game. Now he goes here, bishop g7. Now I go bishop g5. Idea behind this move is just to control this diagonal, and when I attack, he cannot really push this pawn to f4. So this was the idea behind this move, bishop g5. Now he goes bishop e5, trying to get control of some of the dark squares. And here, a very strong move you need to play. You have many different options, but which move would be the best here, huh? Yes, f4. Fixing the weakness. The weakness is f5 pawn. So we're fixing the weakness. And of course, if he takes here, we're very happy because we just take back with the bishop. And not only we get rid of his strong pawn on e4, now we have a bishop that is putting pressure. And then rook d5, and we can also take back with the rook and take the pawn. So he can't take. Taking is very bad. So he plays, now he has to move the bishop. Means losing another tempo. Now, I play bishop c4 first. Rook d5 I could play. I must have something I didn't like about something I thought he could do, perhaps.
What about G4?
You could play g4, but again, in a position like this where you have a complete control, you don't want to open up anything there. You just want to go bishop c4, rook d5, rook f5, and f7 is hanging too. I think I tried this move because I also have this bishop d5 idea. I didn't think I need to go right away. Perhaps some a5 ideas he can do, but rook d5 is a good move too. Now, if you look at the position, he doesn't have any good moves. Rook d5 is coming up next. And take with the pawn on f5. So he goes knight f6, trying to prevent that. Now, what can you do? You want to win that f5 pawn, yeah?
Just take.
Mm-hmm. I take. He takes. Rook d5. Now I'm winning the f5 pawn, then his bishop is hanging, and also f7 is very weak. So he goes a5. If he doesn't do anything, then he just loses without counterplay. Sorry. Thank you. Okay. Okay, played a5, trying to break the chain and create some complications. Like, for example, if you take, he wants to do a tactic. Takes on c5, then check, takes. So you have to watch out for these tactics, yeah? But of course, when I went for this position, I expected the move a5. So I had something in mind that I will do if he does this. And that is?
You can ignore it, right?
Door. D5.
Ay, 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 ay.
No. I was looking at it by taking the pawn on f5, actually, with the rook.
You could do that, but
Because even if pawn takes pawn, the rook takes rook, rook takes rook.
But you can have a mass pass ball.
you could do that. But here you have a chance to win a pawn, actually. Not the f5 pawn. f5 pawn is already ours because he can defend that. Another pawn you can win here. See, when you have strong pawns like the pawn on d6, it's not just there to just look good, you know. In some point, you have to put the pawn into use, right? So we go d7. Now, obviously, if he goes back here, it's just, we can just go b5, c6 even. So he has to go rook c7. And now, his h rank is not very strong here, right? So I take with the rook, the last rank. So if he takes now, I go d8 queen check, bishop takes, rook d8 check, and then I take the rook. So he can take now here too. So again, let's take a look. If he takes, we go check. He takes, check, comes up, we take the rook, and white is up a piece. So he could maybe win 2 pawns, but still lost position. So he played rook d8, now threatening to win the pawn on d7, and this is a pawn that you want to make sure that you don't lose. It's very important to keep this pawn. Okay? So you don't want to lose the pawn. How do you keep this pawn?
Bishop d5.
Mm-hmm. Now he plays bishop c3, activating his bishop, and also attacking the pawn on b4. Very important move here again. Yes.
Rook a4.
Mm-hmm. Now he plays e3. Trying to push this pawn to deflect my bishop so he can take the pawn on d7. So his king. You can go to f2, king f1. Now you block this pawn too, not allowing any counterplay. Now he goes king f8. Block the pawn, threatening to take, bishop d2. And now finally, after it's already safe, we take the pawn. White is up 2 pawns, and black cannot move anything here. His rooks cannot move anything. So he decided to sacrifice the exchange. So he takes. I take. If it doesn't take here, I have few different ways how I can try to win in this position. I can move my rook away. Let's say go rook e5 and then go rook e8. That's probably the easiest way to win. So he has to take. Now he takes. So I'm up a exchange and a pawn. So this is a pretty easy win here. But what would be the best way to convert this advantage? Don't think. You don't want to just check. Yeah. When you want to have an idea. Where do I have advantage still? On which side of the board?
B5.
B5, right? Because let's create. He took out a passed pawn, but he had to sacrifice the exchange. It's okay. Let's create another one. Okay, because we have 2 on 1, right? We create another passed pawn. Now it goes bishop c1, trying to get some counterplay with rook d2. And you don't want to allow any counterplay. Because if he goes check, then you cannot take. He has a discovery check on your rook. So he gets absolutely rook a2. And looks like, yeah, after this move, he just resigned because next move is going to be rook c2 and c6, c7. So from a first glance, it's a very easy game, and you wouldn't think that my opponent was, strong grandmaster, 2560 FIDE rating. Grandmaster Becerra is a very good player, but he just played a little bit inaccurate in the opening, got into a bad position, and it was very difficult for him to do anything in the endgame. Okay. So remember, if somebody plays the Grunfeld, you just play like this. Okay?